Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you so very much. Two best moderators in all of YouTube. We have an amazing show today, and it's just really funny. Good old Patrick Leahy. Oh, Patrick Leahy. Senator since 1869. When the last time we had less than 9 justices. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They don't realize that we've had 9 justices since 1869, when I started alongside Joe Biden. Patrick Leahy, and by the way, to my super chat, thank you. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some people. And I don't have political action committees funneling hundreds of thousands of dollars to each other like some people. So I just have my Patrick Leahy voice. Well, now, Amy Coney Barrett, I just wanted to let you know that we demand you recuse yourself from anything to do with Election Day. Do you promise to recuse yourself? Do you promise that if we're down 100,000 votes in Wisconsin and 80,000 of those ballots are forged by Madam Secretary, do you promise to be completely recused? So I'll read you this. Senate Democrats Amy Coney Barrett nominated to deliver election to Trump. This is kind of funny. So they're saying that it's going to go down to the courts, which is, they're so happy too, because they're so invested in the belief that somehow, some way, no matter what lead Trump has on Election Day, they're going to, out of the blue, last-second heroics, they're going to get enough mail-in ballots after Election Day to win the election. They are invested in this absurd notion. When most of the mail-in ballots are going to be counted before Election Day, and when most of the votes will be counted on Election Day. In-person votes. So it's just really interesting how they want Amy Coney Barrett to recuse herself when, Andrew McCabe never recused himself when his wife received hundreds of thousands of dollars from Terry McAuliffe and Democratic PACs. And there were obviously numerous conflicts of interest there. Christopher! Will the judge recuse? Exactly. Just as much of a conflict of interest there. Exactly. There you go. Absolutely. Great point. You can't, they always demand fairness and objectivity when they are unfair and they're not objective. Bernie Sanders was cheated. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign in 2016. So here, this is the Washington Examiner. Senate Democrats Amy Coney Barrett nominated to deliver election to Trump. This is hilarious. They lost the election. They elevated President Trump in 2016. They cheated Bernie Sanders. And they altered the rules and the protocol of the Senate to where it's just a simple majority now. A simple majority, not a 60-vote nomination. So just a simple majority. But anyway, so Barrett, a federal appeals court judge who on Tuesday was in the midst of her second day of Supreme Court nomination hearings, must recuse herself from election-related matters that come before the High Court, according to Vermont Democrat Senator Patrick Leahy. Don't you love this? Just to let you know, if we have to, go last second, if, for example, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm just saying it could happen. I mean, we're not planning to cheat like we did to Bernie Sanders in Iowa in 2020. But let's just say that Trump is up 200,000 in Florida, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, and Minnesota. Each state 100,000 votes. Well, you have no clue if we have 120,000 Democratic Party ballots to overtake those and suddenly win and be victorious in every single state. I know the odds are slim, but things in life sometimes you get 25 coin flips. I just don't want you a part of this. So that's their mentality. Their mentality is they're going to be their mentality is the following. They're going to be down on election day. They know they're going to be down. I've explained this yesterday. They know they're going to be down on election day. Oh, and by the way, be here on this channel right after this live stream. I'll have an upload on H.A. Goodman's other channel. So be here right after this live stream on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll have an upload. But they want Amy Coney Barrett to recuse. And it's kind of funny because you have Harry, hello. It's funny because you have a justice appointed by President Obama. You have liberal justices on the Supreme Court. And you had, okay, so check this out. You had Attorney General Loretta Lynch, who met with Bill Clinton to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren. She did not recuse herself. You had James Comey, who did not recuse himself after speaking to Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and having to endure, according to Comey, and we don't know who's telling the truth, the Attorney General telling him to call it a matter. Is he now tainted? Is the Attorney General biased? Why would the Attorney General tell Comey to call the Clinton email criminal probe a matter? Who's telling the truth there? See, I'm only going with facts. I'm only going with what Comey actually, what he actually stated under oath. These are just facts. And so you have a situation where Andrew McCabe, whose wife was running as a Democrat in Virginia, her campaign receiving, $800,000 from Democratic PACs? And of course, those PACs wouldn't be used as influence over Andrew McCabe. God forbid. God forbid. Oh my God, they would never. I mean, they wouldn't think of it as a choice between stuffing McCabe's pocket or perhaps a more legal and less overt manner of graft and bribery, funding his wife's campaign in Virginia. Gee, that's not graft. That's not bribery. I mean, he's going to remain completely independent. That's why he recused himself 2 weeks before the election after he already set up and framed Trump. Why did he recuse himself eventually? It would be different had he never recused himself. Andrew McCabe recused himself from Crossfire Hurricane, a week or 2 weeks before the election? Something absurd like that? After he had already been part of setting up and framing Trump? Long after his wife had already received hundreds of thousands of dollars in PAC money to run as a Democrat when she was running as a Democrat? That didn't influence him at all. So, and Peter Strzok was never forced to recuse himself when he and the lovely Lisa Page stated, oh, well, we'll stop him. He's not going to become president, right? You have all these bureau agents spewing this venom and contempt against Trump, and then they say, well, there's no evidence that their bias resulted in any action. Yes, of course there is. It's right there. They're actually telegraphing exactly how they feel. If the tables were turned, the Democrats never put their thinking caps on. They never actually look at Trump and everything that happens to Trump the way they look at themselves. Christopher, thank you. Wild Cajun, hello. Hello, Wild Cajun. Harry. Hello, Harry. How you doing? So you have all of these people. Andrew McCabe never recused himself. You have a Justice Department official, Bruce Orr, whose wife was okay, hold on, Bruce Orr. This is interesting. His wife was literally working for Fusion GPS. And you never had Bruce Orr recuse himself. Even though Fusion GPS was then outsourced to outsource the Steele dossier. Democrats are really smart. They think they think that it was nothing going on with Clinton literally purchasing the Steele dossier because, she actually just outsourced Fusion GPS, and then Fusion GPS outsourced Christopher Steele. So, I mean, come on, there's like such a separation between Madam Secretary and the Steele dossier, who, by the way, when you have Biden saying that he is running for Senate, I'm sorry, this is not happening. Madam Secretary, like I've said for the past 4 years, will eventually be there. Biden leads Trump by 17 points. Oh my God, why not 100? Why not 100,000 points? You'll add 99,900 points to it. It's like Biden leads by 17 points. Well, he's losing he's only up by like 4 or 5 points in swing states. So this is simply to get Democrats believing that they can that they have it in the bag, that they're going to win, and suddenly when they lose, they can say this is impossible. We were supposed to win. And then they can blame. This is to get them ready to blame something, somebody, some country, something. This is absolutely hilarious. So, I mean, Amy Coney Barrett will not recuse. Iceman cometh. Amy Coney Barrett will not recuse, and she actually didn't even. Amy Klobuchar. There are people who think that Senator Klobuchar is like this witty, super intelligent. There's nothing that Amy Klobuchar says that is profoundly intelligent or. There's no like. She tries to frame these gotcha questions that are so you can see them a mile away. You can see them coming from 10 miles away. So she goes to Amy Coney Barrett today. She's like, is it against the law, Judge, to intimidate people before elections? And so obviously it is. Obviously, Amy Coney Barrett knows it is. But it would be framed in a way that Amy Coney Barrett would say, yes, of course it is. And then she would say, well, Republicans are doing this, and then she would point to an example that's not intimidation. Or she would point to an example that's not the absolute definition of intimidation. And Democrats, when you want to talk about election interference or cheating, just ask Bernie Sanders in 2016 or 2020 in Iowa. The Democrats trashed their ballots. Well over, hundreds of thousands of ballots. 500,000 ballots were just thrown in the trash during the primaries. Most of them being Democratic Party ballots. So it's really funny. Democrats have a case study in election interference and cheating in their own primaries, which don't run, like, they couldn't even find the person who won Iowa until 2 or 3 days after. It was a complete and utter debacle. Pilgrim Media! HAI family members I never want to talk to again. Pilgrim Media! Well, don't let them be the ones who don't want to let them be the ones who don't want to talk to you. You just remain open to when they apologize, or because that's the way I am. If I get an apology from people, I'm fine, I don't have any. I didn't cause a rift with anyone. There are people who have come to me and said, I don't like the way I think you're voting for a real tyrant. It's like, no, prisoner reform and bringing home soldiers or removing soldiers from quagmires is the opposite of what a tyrant does, or what an authoritarian does, or what a totalitarian, despot does. But these people don't know history. They're like stuck in hyperbole. But Pilgrim Media, be open to any apology. I certainly am. But you and I and others, we didn't cause anything. We're just living our lives, and there are other people who are so apoplectic that they can't stand a family member or a friend voting for whomever they want to vote for. So it's really interesting, Pilgrim Media. Thank you. That whole dynamic is really interesting. You have people who, these are the same people like, well, I wouldn't vote for the 1930s and 1940s Germans. Yeah, what does that have to do with President Trump, you deranged imbecile? You person who prides himself or herself on knowing a lot about history but knows absolutely nothing. If anything, let's put it this way. The countries that have the highest approval rating of President Trump, or the highest favorability rating, are Israel and South Korea. And President Trump has done a great deal for Israel and South Korea. And the most religious Jewish people love President Trump. I know, because there's a great many people in my family who don't like Trump. But there's a great many people in my family who are religious who do like Trump, Jewish. And you go to like the most religious communities, Jewish communities in the world, love President Trump. Israel loves President Trump. They wouldn't vote. They wouldn't like the 1930s and 1940s Germans. The absurd correlation. See, the left is so devoid of reality. They're so removed from rational thought and reality. The left despises the only country in the world. They really despise only one country in the world. Really, one country in the world. And actually, two countries. The left despises the U.S. And the only Jewish state in the world, Israel. So the left has actually convinced itself that the 1930s and 1940s Germans were just really bad people for a great many groups, which is true. But there was a unique barbarism And there was, I don't even want to get into it because of YouTube policies, but there was something unique about what they did to a certain group of people. And I'm not going to get into it, but see, the left doesn't see it this way. And because of that, that is one of the foundations for the state that exists that Democrats and liberals and progressives don't think should exist, many of whom don't think should exist. Okay, so they've completely, in their revisionist historian madness, and I can't really get into it on YouTube because of the YouTube policies, but the left is like all over the place. So they've adopted the suffering of millions of human beings. They've adopted the suffering of millions of human beings. And use that as a political tool. Use that to say, oh, well, Trump says mean things. This is their lame, absurd logic. And I had to listen to this when I was on the left because I opposed it when I was on the left. And I asked for justification. And they're so irrational. This is what Trump says mean things. And what happened in years past started with words. So Trump's words and the words of others, there's a direct line between those words. It's like, oh my God. You could make, you know who else uses mean words? Every single, not just despot or tyrant, every single politician who's ever existed. Except Justin Trudeau. He doesn't use mean words. He just goes into the boxing ring. But, they're so removed from reality. That's why when they lose again, it's going to be very interesting. When they lose again, it'll be they'll be so, they will be so, shocked, stunned, because they will have lost 2 elections. And they're done after that. You have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. When you lose 2 elections, first of all, in the slight, there's no chance that they would win, especially not with Botox B if they ever go with him. Because I'm telling you, Clinton's, that dorsal fin ain't flipper. That dorsal fin circling around Biden ain't flipper. When you see these polls, Biden up 17 points, that's just to get liberals and Democrats ready. So when they lose, they can say, oh my God, something must have happened. We were up 17 points. It's like, no, these are the same polls that okay, when you get a poll that says Biden is up 17 points, you're actually just polling Democrats or Republicans who are so Lincoln Project establishment Republican types that they might as well be Democrats. You're not randomly polling people from across the country. And that's another thing we have 50 states. Each state is different. That's another reason national polls make 0 sense. Ohio and Florida is red, firmly President Trump. Firmly Trump. Minnesota might go Trump. And it's a liberal state. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania all voted for President Trump in 2016. Okay? Democrats actually now have to take those states back. Trump has the momentum in those states. He won those states. It's Democrats who have to win back those states. So, the momentum is President Trump's. We have 50 different states. People think about life differently in Kansas and Nebraska and Wyoming than people think about life in California and New York. If people in California and New York had to live on a farm with, 2 hours away or 1 hour away from a police station, believe me, they would embrace the Second Amendment. Democrats and liberals, the way they view government is there to help. And if government, and if you remove firearms from people, bad things won't happen. Because obviously criminals follow the law. People who have gone mad, they follow the law. There's no way they could get firearms, just like there's no way they could get cocaine or illegal narcotics or anything else that's banned. Liberals live in a fantasy world, a liberal fantasy world. It's like, what was that fantastic Fantasy Island? Well, what was the show? It's like they live on their own fantasy island. Great show, by the way. Welcome to Fantasy Island. The plane. Welcome to Fantasy Island. That's a fantastic show. I loved Fantasy Island. Loved Fantasy Island. But I mean, you have these the same people. You should see that when their ideas are tested, most of their ideas never work out. Well, we can just pack the courts. Yeah, that wouldn't work out. Medicare for all, what's the problem? Well, again, Medicare for all might be feasible, or it might not be feasible because of 320 million Americans and a foreign policy that intervenes and engages in regime changes all the time. That's what President Trump is trying to reverse. He's reversing the Lincoln Project foreign policy. But you would have to double to triple tax collection, according to a Mercatus study. Taxes would go up. When people hear that taxes go up, they don't want Medicare for all. That is another issue. But see, a Green New Deal legislation, Medicare for all, these are laws that have not been voted on by a Democratic-run House because they don't believe in it, not because the Senate is run by Republicans. That's not the way. The Senate's run by Republicans. They try to impeach the president, and there's resolutions against the president all the time, so who cares? That's the faulty argument. So, Amy Coney Barrett nominated to deliver election to Trump. Their lives revolve around. Winning elections, which they don't do. They didn't win the Senate, so I took heat for the midterms, but I was right, 100% right about the Senate. I said we would gain in the Senate, Republicans would gain. I said, and they did. And now we have Amy Coney Barrett, and we had the Senate. They couldn't have received the 2/3 of the Senate for impeachment, but it's good that the Senate just completely prevented it, where it wasn't a majority of senators. So the Senate, as Trump's, is a very, very good thing. Democrats oh yeah, we got the House. Well, actually, it's actually good for Trump. The biggest gift to President Trump is AOC. You couldn't find a better election present and gift than AOC and progressives in the House. Because even they've given up on trying to push Medicare for all. They have a platform, especially AOC, of what, 1 million people on social media. And I mean, they're all, anything that she says is amplified by the press. Why hasn't she been saying, look, you know what? If you don't pass a Medicare for all bill, I'm going to not vote this election. Oh my God, it would be pandemonium. AOC would be marrying Putin tomorrow. It would be pandemonium. How dare you? You're giving the election to Trump. The ACA's closest we'll ever get to Medicare for all. Oh my God. They just harp. They would rather say, you know how many people are losing their lives because of no Medicare for all? Well, if that's true, then do something about it. That's why Trump does what he says. He's like, yeah, we're going to end these quagmires. Okay. He ended the war in Afghanistan. He's ending our involvement in Iraq. He ended our involvement in Syria. Or mostly, he does what he says. We're going to have a great economy. We had record low unemployment. Now, even multinational organizations that Democrats love are saying, yeah, the lockdowns aren't good. You should probably stop the lockdowns. And if the lockdowns were so effective, why are Democratic states leading the entire country in lives lost and in terms of per capita fatality rate? But almost all the liberal ideas or ideas on the left, whether they're progressive or liberal, generally are either impossible to implement, or they're possible to implement, but Democrats won't. The gatekeepers to progressive ideas are liberal Democrats who don't like them. So then you have to hear the constant moralizing. Just want to let you know, people are losing their lives because there's no Medicare for all. Well, you know who's complicit? Not Republicans, because we know that Republicans don't want. It's the Democrats who utilize votes by progressives, progressives then say, well, eventually we'll just, we'll complain and whine long enough to where Pelosi will say, okay, I've had enough listening to you. That'll never happen. That'll never happen. The far left and the left don't know the dynamics of power in politics. They're like, we're gonna make sure you don't eat. We're gonna go and make sure that if you're eating, we'll yell at you. That doesn't change anyone's mind. That just makes young people feel good about themselves because they have so much energy. Orange Grove 55. I've seen more Trump here in Southern California than exactly. Orange Grove 55. I was just at a restaurant, outdoor restaurant, the other day, and I saw a gentleman with a 45 red a MAGA hat, but it was souped up. Had a 45 on the side. It was awesome. I wanted to go up and shake the man's hand, but he was eating, and it's the pandemic, so. DJ Sci-Fi, yes. I'm still expecting the Golden Moo I'm still expecting Clinton to replace Biden. Yes, the prediction stands. Orange Grove 55, thank you. Pete Solano, that's right. I saw that. I read about that. It's never been about change. It's been about completely tearing apart United States history, which is bizarre because the left actually doesn't care what took place in Libya because of President Obama's foreign policy. They removed a leader. Once they removed the leader, the country descended into chaos and mayhem, more so than infinitely more so than when the leader was there. So, Pete Solano, thank you so very much. That's true. I saw that, Pete. Thank you. Mark Scott, trains to Hawaii. Check up. Let's look at the Green New Deal. Green New Deal. I wonder why they're not talking about the Green New Deal. I wonder why Democrats are petrified. Absolutely petrified. Petrified. So this is a CNET article. that is I think, going to be very... It's going to be very generous to Democrats. So trains not planes, the Green New Deal's rail controversy explained. Commentary. The Democrats recently unveiled Green New Deal aims to reduce U.S. carbon footprint. By the way, our carbon emissions are lower than at any point in President Obama's administration. In 2019, even before we tanked the economy to save lives. Which I don't think had the desired effect for Democrats, politically, or if you really believe they cared about lives. This is in 2019. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey last week unveiled the Democrats' Green New Deal, a 9-binding resolution. So how is this going to save the planet? With the goal of curbing greenhouse emissions while creating jobs and improving infrastructure. Okay, one part of this proposal stuck out to me as part of my coverage of train transportation here at CNET. The one way to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions was to invest and expand our high-speed rail network. How timely, I thought. I just wrote about that. But this aspect of the Green New Deal was the one most ridiculed. Here's why. Trains over planes? Much of the discussion around the Green New Deal's high-speed rail proposals revolves around one line: build out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. If you think so... So when AOC and Democrats were writing this, they didn't realize that planes travel over oceans and seas and bodies of water. So if you think this is a ridiculous concept, you're not alone. Countless media outlets across the political spectrum found such amusement with that line. Except the Green New Deal doesn't actually say that. The above quote is from an overview. See, this is how... I swear to God, you can never win. You can never win. You can never win. The resolution doesn't actually say that. Well, where did we get it? It was a frequently asked questions overview sent out by Ocasio-Cortez's office. So it's right. So she actually sent that out in an explanation of the resolution. What's the problem? How can you not ridicule this? How can this not be like completely irrational and the opposite of pragmatism? But the left is oh my God, it doesn't even matter if it's right as long as it moves you towards the right direction, towards morality. The above quote is from a frequently asked question sent out by Ocasio-Cortez's office. So they're the ones who created a controversy with their own words yet again. Not the proposal itself. The frequently asked questions since has been taken down. Okay. So what the proposal says. So it's their fault. They just added fuel to the fire anyway. But it's it's just unbelievable how... It's just unbelievable. So... So what the proposal actually... Here's the actual text of the proposal. Quote, overhauling transportation systems in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector as much as technologically feasible. Okay, that's pretty much what's taking place now. Or it's taking place to a great extent now. As much as technologically feasible, people are using... cars that perhaps emit less carbon emissions. People are generally doing that. The Democrats love these semantic games, including through investment in zero-emission vehicle infrastructure and manufacturing. Yeah, and the fuel cells would require precious metals or metals that are mined, and I wrote about this, like cobalt, that cause a tremendous amount of health risk and consequences among indigenous people in the Congo and places throughout the world. Clean, affordable, and accessible public transit and high-speed rail. overhauling transportation systems in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector as much as technologically feasible. So this is what always happens. When Democrats don't pass their idealistic proposals, the Democrats can say, well, we were doing, I guess, exactly what it said. And then the left can say, no, we meant what the frequently asked questions stated. Since the actual Green New Deal proposal doesn't say we should do away with airplanes, because of course we can't, nor should we, I'll leave others to discuss the frequently asked questions. They gave out a statement explaining their well-crafted and thought-out Green New Deal. And it says there, do away with air travel, and then build out high-speed rails where air travel stops becoming necessary. It's literally trying to say, look, we just want air travel to become unnecessary. Then when you call them on it, they're like, well, we didn't really say that in the proposal. It's like, yeah, but you were trying to explain what the proposal actually means. So you meant that, you just didn't say it in the proposal. Then you hide behind the fact you didn't say it, but you can't hide behind the fact you didn't say it because you were trying to explain what you meant. Uh-huh. Speaking to Democrats is like the character in I love this movie. What's that amazing Princess Bride? Brilliant. It's like the character in Princess Bride. The Space Force Channel. HA, have you seen BCP's last video? I have to check. I love Black Conservative Patriot. For the Space Force Channel, thank you very, very much. By the way, thank you for your generosity. The Space Force Channel, thank you. So let's see. Lord. Oh, I can't stand it. Okay. All right, so hold on one second. I didn't, I can't really comment on it until, I can't even touch upon it because I'm trying to just, I'm trying, in terms of the algorithm, you have to have absolute categorical proof. And I know that BCP is amazing. And I haven't seen the video, so he probably provides all of that in the video. But I haven't read any categorical proof yet. So I'm waiting until I can get some categorical proof before I even talk about it. And even then it's a big issue, but yeah. Wow. I saw that 6 hours ago. October surprise is here. Definitely subscribe to Black Conservative Patriot. He needs to be at 1 million subs. He's at 458,000. Get him to 500,000. Here is Black Conservative Patriot's link. He's fantastic. The Space Force Channel, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's, I would like for the mainstream to try to, of course, say, oh, this really didn't happen, and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da, and then I can weigh in on it. Because they're always going to try to find some, if there's a story that's accurate, they'll address the accuracy and then try to spin it. So once they do that, I will definitely be more than happy to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, this definitely watch his last video. Black Conservative Patriot is fantastic. Lexi, I'm not denying anything. I don't. Sometimes I don't know what happens sometimes with the. I have nothing to do with like how the super chat works. So I don't know like the way the super chat, like how people donate. I actually have no way to actually influence that. That's completely YouTube. Brayden, love what you do. H.A. Shout out to Wolfhouse MMA. Nice. I can't wait to get back to jiu-jitsu. I can't wait to get back to it when everything is back to normal. I was studying it and going to class for like 4 months, 3 to 4 months before all the lockdowns and everything, and it was fantastic. And I was learning, so I was just about like getting to learn to where I could survive for like 30 seconds against somebody good, or like 20 seconds. Braden Spartan, thank you. Wolfhouse MMA, hello. Thank you. Braden Spartan, thank you so very much. The Space Force channel. Thank you, the Space Force channel. You're welcome. Keep up the good work. I understand your position. You're a smart man. Thank you, the Space Force channel. Thank you. I really want to like be able to, but I'm not big enough yet. And I mean, that's the whole thing. Like it's the whole thing. The algorithm is interesting, and I want to just be there intact. Just to party with you on the Space Force channel. Braden Spartan, Wolfhouse MMA, hello. Space Force channel, thank you so very, very much. I know you'll be here on November 3rd. We're going to win on November 3rd. We're going to win on November 3rd. The Space Force channel. It's going to be pretty fantastic. And like all I can say is you can't go into a political contest or sporting event, but you can't lose to President Trump in 2016. Spend 4 years saying you didn't really lose, you were cheated, and Trump is not legitimate. He's an illegitimate president. They have been spending 4 years saying Trump is an illegitimate president. An illegitimate president. And then they lose to him again. And they are praying that it's close. There was even this one firm... all these firms have like superhero, like supervillain names. I think this firm was named like Shadow something. It's always Shadow something. And then they're like, "What's the problem? We don't cheat." Yeah, every tech firm you have is Shadow thing or whatever. Where they're like, Trump is relying on a lead on election day. Yeah, that's usually what happens. Usually on election day, when you have a lead, you win. Democrats think it's like a law of nature that when they're down, they could just come back up again and win. You better believe William Barr is going to be counting everybody. 1,001. 1,002. I'm counting ballots and making certain that the signatures and the 3 envelopes that have to be sealed, hermetically sealed, and everything else that has to happen. 1,003. They're going to be they're going to be counting each and every ballot. It's going to be pretty hilarious. It's going to be pretty hilarious. And then when they find out any when they find out when they when they find out that there's some massive cheating going on, they're going, well, this isn't actually, well, I mean, that's not actually the case. And like in Minnesota with, well, they're like, the person on the video caught in an illegal act is actually, that person said he was given $10,000 to do that. It's like, what? And then James O'Keefe says, yeah, the person caught in the act, of course, what is he going to say? Yeah, I did this. He's going to say, well, I was paid to do what people think I did on video. So it's always some kind of like absurd reasoning. They always go to this absurd reasoning. But if you lose again, and this is the thing, I don't think they realize, and they just do not realize. They just really do not realize the repercussions of losing again, because they're so arrogant. You have to understand, they don't feel like they've lost. They're obsessed, and they're angry, and they're frustrated, and they're scorned. They have all the emotions of losing, but they still don't, they haven't intellectually like come to terms with the fact that they lost to President Trump. Emotionally, they kind of have, just because of all the negative emotions they felt. But they truly believe they haven't lost to Trump. They truly believe, they're like, no, we haven't lost. And they're like, well, the only reason, a lot of things were going on in that election, nobody really knows. It's like, you're going to lose again. When you will lose again, what are you going to say? Because you can't say that Russia stole the election from you. You can't say that. You can't call anyone treasonous because you have John Ratcliffe there. And that's not even treason anyway. Buying Facebook ads, let's just say that Trump actually purchased Facebook ads from a Russian company in Wisconsin, that wouldn't be treason. That's not what treason is. Treason is like giving troop movement or giving the enemy information in an actual battle. You can't call Putin this nefarious adversary when just years back, President Obama did not veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. And they play this game like this public relations. They're so full of, and the far left, this is what the far left is like, just give us something to where we don't have to support Trump. Give us something, because subliminally, the far left is not that far away, or the left, I should say, is not that far away from either being apathetic or supporting President Trump. Bam, bam! My super chat to you in 2018 was, it's all about, you on Flynn, let it all be exposed. Keep up the good work, America. Bam, bam, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Michael Flynn. Michael Flynn was set up, framed. I wrote in the Federalist that I think he should be pardoned completely. And we found out he had nothing to do ever with any Russian interference. Furthermore, there was never any Russian interference. Nobody can even explain a Facebook ad or a Twitter account or how the DNC emails altered 77,000 votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. But that was definitely a big part of it. You're right. I think also it was they just didn't want overall U.S. foreign policy to be. They didn't want regime change and interventions off the table, which is what. See, if you had Michael Flynn as his national security advisor, you would have a very, very intelligent, loyal person advising President Trump on the most important issues in the world. Foreign policy is the biggest issue that I'm voting on. Democrats do not care about foreign policy. They don't care about foreign policy. So, bam, bam, thank you. The Space Force channel, thank you so very, very much. The Space Force channel, thank you. Rails and run. Say what you want about Ocasio-Cortez, but she certainly pushes the debate. No, she does not. That's a whole other topic. Not only do AOC and progressives in Congress not push the debate, Biden and Harris were petrified of the Green New Deal. The only people who brought up the Green New Deal were Pence and President Trump. Those are the only people who brought up the Green New Deal. It's kind of hilarious. Andrew, I don't think so. Actually, maybe. I don't think they care. I think they're paving the way for Madam Secretary. With all the duplicity, when Hillary Clinton writes a Medium article, here you have like satire. Donald Trump confident he will defeat Hillary Clinton. The New Yorker, it's not satire. Because even satirical sites eventually, either before or after Democrats actually show their true intentions, predict what Democrats are going to do or reflect what Democrats are going to do. This is hilarious. So, this is really hilarious. It makes no sense. And when, I'm telling you, Clinton is going to replace somehow, I don't know how it's going to happen, somehow, Biden. A couple days ago, she wrote a Medium article, Why Joe Biden Should Be Our Next Commander-in-Chief. Okay. This is not possible. This is not possible. This is absolutely not possible. Got 11 responses. That's hilarious. 1.2 thousand claps. Biden has Biden has a great plan to invest $700 billion in innovation and manufacturing and impose stronger Buy American provisions. Manufacturing did better under President Trump, a lot better, to the tune of like 500,000, 300 to 500,000 manufacturing jobs. There's one stat that says 300,000, President Trump quoted 500,000, or Pence quoted 500,000. 300,000 were lost under President Obama. That's according to factcheck.org. But this is hilarious. Why would you have a person who voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, and who pushed for the intervention in Libya, that turned the country into a failed state. It was not a failed state before the NATO intervention. It became a failed state after the NATO intervention. Gee, you think the NATO intervention had anything to do with it becoming a failed state? Why Joe Biden should be our next commander-in-chief? That, I'm telling you, with everything you've seen from Democrats, with their brazen hypocrisy, their duplicity, they don't even care. They don't even care anymore. They're calling court packing Amy Coney Barrett because she would make it a 6-3 Supreme Court, so they're saying that's court packing. It's like, no, it's not. It's what? What are you talking about? Court packing is adding people to the Supreme Court. You see? Do I lie? She's being added to the Supreme Court. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So, Truth Hurts 18. I feel like you're forgetting that Orange Man bad. Yeah, the Orange Man bad, that's true. But I just, I don't think that's enough. I don't think that would ever get, Madam Secretary to support anyone, to support, Biden. I don't think it's even, I think that she's just ready so she could say, look, I wrote the Medium article. What do you want from me? And then when it happens, oh my God, here we go with the theories again that have been debunked. As you can see from this Medium article, she had no intention of becoming the person on the ballot 3 days before the election. How did that happen? Ladies and gentlemen, check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. I will be doing a segment right now. I don't think, look, in terms of arrest, I've said this for like 4 years. I think indicted, yes, eventually, one of these days. But I don't think ever arrested. I don't think Clinton would ever be arrested. Ever. Even, I don't think, you're never going to see a perp walk from Coney or anyone. They'll be indicted and somehow they'll be gently escorted to the court. And they definitely won't be held in jail. So the rules and the normal rules of criminal justice don't apply, especially to them. But I think like indictments in the future for a whole bunch of people, absolutely. You can be indicted and not arrested. I don't think Clinton will ever be arrested. Indictments for a whole lot of people, that's a different story. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. H.A. Goodman's other channel, please subscribe to that, and I will be doing a segment right now on H.A. Goodman's other channel. Let me just give you the link. Here it is, everyone. Thank you, Eric H526. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tonight. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific tonight for the live stream. 9 p.m. Pacific. And check out H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless to my super chat. Thank you. I will see you tonight, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.